So we begin a new sermon series today called What Can't Wait? And that seems a bit impatient, doesn't it? A bit demanding. Maybe it is. But as we talked a few months ago, there's a time for patience and a time for holy impatience. But I don't know about you, I've often connected Advent with patience. I always thought of Advent as a time of waiting for Christmas and family to come into town, waiting for lights to come on and presents to be wrapped, waiting for candles to be lit and for Advent hymns to be replaced with familiar Christmas carols. If Advent is about waiting, then why are we talking about what can't wait? I think we often think of Advent as meaning waiting. I think I've heard that throughout my childhood. Advent means waiting. But it really means preparing for an arrival. And sometimes preparations can't wait. When I was a kid and we'd have company coming over for Christmas or anything else, we had to start getting ready way earlier than I thought was necessary. We'd have to get beds ready and bathrooms set and all kinds of things. My mom would tell me I had to have my room clean. Why? It's just going to get messy again. Shouldn't we let our family see us as we really are? That did not work. I think how much work goes into official state visits when foreign dignitaries visit. Sometimes months of preparations are involved. Waiting for an arrival isn't passive. It is active. And some things can't wait. Have you thought about what can't wait? With the Christmas story coming toward us like a familiar friend, it may seem strange to you to hear the promise that Jesus will come again riding a cloud. Now, most folks I know prefer the story of Jesus coming the first time with wise men and shepherds and a little cute baby. This may not be a text that can't wait for you. The promise of a return, of better days, of promises fulfilled. Maybe it can wait. But if you don't need it today, don't forget it. Tuck the text away for a while. There will be a day when these words are words that can save your life. The text is what we call apocalyptic language. It has to be heard a certain way. That's not an unusual reality with speech. When you hear the words, once upon a time, you know you have entered the world of fairy tales. They are words that have to be heard a certain way. If you hear a rabbi, a priest, and a pastor walk into a bar, you know that it's not going to be a news story coming. It's probably going to be a joke, hopefully. Apocalyptic language is a particular kind of writing that uses oversized vocabulary to paint larger-than-life pictures to speak truths that are too immense for everyday speech. And it is always language from the bottom. It comes from struggle. It is the way people talk when things seem hopeless, when chaos has overrun life, when everything we have depended on seems fragile. That's when God's people speak with apocalyptic language. Luke's congregation talked this way because they knew the oppression of the Roman Empire. They knew what it was to have no power and no control and no real freedom. So this is a text for the enslaved person in rural Georgia in 1800. It's for families in Central America at the mercy of corrupt governments and drug lords and gangs. This is a story for the Syrian child who wonders if the bombing will ever stop, or the refugee family stuck in camps or sinners wondering if they will ever know freedom or home. This is a story for the one who stares into the eyes of a spouse who can no longer remember you. It's the story for the mom who's worked 2 jobs today and will only be able to feed her children as long as none of them get sick and needs to see a doctor. It's the story for the child who lives her nightmares in the daytime because her father is violent. This is a text for those who no longer have confidence that the things of this world are working. It's not a text that threatens. Be aware, the world may end. It is a promise of hope for those whose lives are so broken, they fear the world might not end. To them, Jesus says, I will come again. In those situations, in those lives, maybe your life, those are words. That is hope that can't wait. Hope is shaped by suffering and struggle. Hope has nothing to do with optimism or wishing. Hope comes rushing into your life when you need it. It can't wait. I have a favorite movie. Perhaps it's your favorite movie too. It should be. It's great. Has anyone seen The Shawshank Redemption? Okay, you know it. I don't have to be worried for you all. I love that movie. I think it's ultimately a movie about hope. Andy Dufresne's in prison. What's a lifetime sentence. And in one scene, he's put in solitary confinement for like a month. When he finally gets out, his friends say, how did you manage? How did you survive? He talks about music in his head. And he talks about hope. And he says hope is a good thing. Maybe the very best of things. And a good thing never dies. When you need it the most, hope comes to you. We all need that hope sometimes. We can't afford for it to wait to fill us. When we need it, it's there. It doesn't wait. There are many who may not get through the day without the promise that Jesus will come again. That there's hope. When things in the world get so bad, there's always that hope. Now I want to clear this up. Jesus coming again, riding on a cloud. It does sound a little strange. I mean, Jesus, who lived 2,000 years ago, coming back in some undisclosed tomorrow, riding a cloud, no less. What kind of cloud do you think Jesus would prefer? A cirrus cloud? A cumulus cloud? A cloud shaped like a dragon? I don't know. Many have read this text in a literal fashion. It's strange that way. As early as the 2nd century, a disciple named Montanus predicted that Jesus would come again on a cloud and return to a town called Papusa, which is now in Turkey. That did not happen. In the 19th century, a preacher named William Miller predicted that Jesus would return in 1843. That did not happen. When that didn't happen, some people were disillusioned, but others began picking later dates. More recently, Tim LaHaye in his Left Behind series peddled such misguided readings of the text will all be vanished, and second cars will crash and airplanes will crash. A few years ago, you might remember, the world was going to end in May, and people sold all their stuff. It did not happen. People always try to figure out when Jesus is coming and where. And they have been disappointed every time. Why? Because they fail to appreciate that this is apocalyptic language. It's not a news account. This is apocalyptic speech. It's not a prediction of what will happen. It's a metaphor of hope you can trust your life with. It is a promise that God will be faithful, that hope can't wait. When the Bible speaks of the return of Jesus, the second coming, the final judgment, when it speaks that way, it is stating a confidence that God will fulfill God's promises. Jesus and the early church after him did not talk this way because he had some crystal ball into the future. They spoke this way because of the confidence they had in God's faithfulness. It is the expressed conviction that the will of God cannot be defeated, that all things will be made right, and that all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be made well. It's about hope and not prediction. This is not a text that threatens the world ending and impending judgment with punishment. It is a promise. This is not bad news. It is hope. Because the will of God is that all creation will be blessed and redeemed. The will of God is that all of God's children will know grace and love, that there is a place at the table for everyone, that there's justice in our relationships. Martin Luther King spoke of Christian hope this way, that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That's an apocalyptic message. Apocalyptic speech comes from suffering, and it speaks hope, and it takes the long view. When Jesus says that he will come again, He is saying that when all is said and done, God will heal every brokenness. God will save every good. He is saying the signs of crucifixion may be all around us, but do not lose heart, for God will be faithful. Hope can't wait, because I'm promising you I will come again. I think that's the power of Santa. Some people don't like Santa, don't think we should talk about Santa at church. I love Santa. I have a whole tree of Santa ornaments. Every year I get a new Santa ornament to put on the tree. Courtney gets a nutcracker, I get a Santa. I love Santa, and I think I love Santa because I always had hope with Santa. He promised to come every year, and with his coming was the hope of the extraordinary. He could make happen what no one else could make happen. I wanted a train, a Lionel train. You know, the good trains. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now my mother, mean as she was, no offense, proclaimed in no uncertain terms there would be no train in our house. Apparently, she liked breaking her little boy's heart, or that's how it seemed. But Mom wasn't the final word on these things, because Santa was coming. Oh, sure, it was months away, but he was coming. And so hope couldn't wait. Even though I had a no, I had a hope that a better day was coming. I asked Santa, and hope was born because I trusted him. Now, I know everyone's experience of Santa is not the same. Everyone doesn't have all the same privileges. But for me, Santa taught me to hope and to believe. It taught me early on to believe and wonder and things I may not understand, but somehow would be good and wonderful. I have a bigger hope now because I trust in a God who is with us and for us and loves us. And I trust that that holy love can transform us. And I trust Jesus will come again. And Jesus comes when we need him most. I trust that the cries of the early Christians facing oppression and persecution did not go unheard. And I trust that the enslaved woman in Georgia of 1800 now knows freedom. I trust that children in Syria will be able to play outside in peace. And I trust that moms captured by the crushing grip of poverty will one day set the table of feasting. I trust that children who grow up in violent homes will someday know safety. And I believe those who long for a home will one day have it and be safe and secured and welcome. I trust that those with broken hearts who long for things they cannot have will one day find fulfillment and peace. I trust that the love of God will redeem all that is wrong in us and in our world. I trust that because I trust God's love will hold on. I don't know how to say that very well, but the way Jesus said it is, when things get bad, I will come again. Love is coming, and so hope can't wait. Do you believe that? Do you trust that? Do you know how to wrap your mind around something that big and that important and that good? Sometimes I think children understand this better. They're so good at hoping and trusting in the good. I think that's why Jesus often says you have to have a childlike faith. They teach us. Verity, for some reason right now, is concerned about graveyards and dying and death. And Courtney had to remind her last night of something she said a year ago, which was wise but hopeful. She said, I think when you die, God takes you to live in her heart forever. Pretty good theologically, really. She doesn't understand everything yet. But somehow she knows God is good and God is love. And so somehow, in the midst of something really scary, It'll be okay. That's hope that can't wait. Even when you don't understand it, you don't know how it's going to happen, you don't know how good could possibly come from this, hope says it'll find a way. Jesus says, I will come again. I won't wait.